and welcome to Cymru Nerd Cave, where this week it's quite obvious what's going to be happening. It's going to be a bit of a review of a certain movie that came out this week. This lady's movie, yes, it's obviously Diana of Themyscira, or as we commonly know her, Wonder Woman. Her film came out this week. Much anticipated, much needed. We have waited, fans of Wonder Woman have waited a long time for this film, where, you know, you found multiple iterations of male superheroes come out, multiple versions of Batman, multiple versions of Superman, Spider-Man, and so on and so forth. No Wonder Woman film. We had obviously the great TV series in the 70s with Linda Carter, which was amazing. I loved as a little boy. But no film. She obviously made a cameo appearance in Batman vs Superman. She's been in all the Justice League trailers and all whatnot, but she's never had a film of her own. Well, now she does, courtesy of director Patty Jenkins, who directed the marvellous film Monster, starring Charlize Theron. Great film, well worthy of the Oscar it won. I think it was Charlize Theron who won the Oscar as well. But yeah, Patty Jenkins, she's only ever directed that other film. So people are saying it was a gamble, I don't know, to give $200 million plus to Patty Jenkins to direct Wonder Woman. It turns out it wasn't a gamble at all, absolutely not, because it's a marvellous film, and possibly, this might be contentious with a few people and not so with others, but possibly the best DCEU film at the moment, and there's been 4 of them. 3 of them I liked them all, but other people apparently didn't like them. But this one, I think it's almost universally accepted that this is a really good film, and that warms the cockles of my heart, quite frankly. It makes me very happy indeed. As a big Wonder Woman fan and a big DC fan, I do want them to succeed. I do want them to compete with Marvel, and I think this film does compete with Marvel. It's a very good, solid movie, a very good, solid superhero movie that doesn't shirk away from asking bigger questions, you know, of humanity, of war. Why do we fight? What's the role of humanity in the world? That kind of thing. There's not going to be major spoilers in this, just before I go ahead, but there are going to be spoilers. If you want to watch beyond this bit, then please do. If not, then yeah, 2 thumbs up. It's a great film. I'm going to say that right away. And I was really hoping it would be, because I remember when Gal Gadot was first cast as Diana, and the howls of derision from certain corners of the interwebs were disheartening, to say the least. Oh, she's too skinny, she doesn't look like Wonder Woman. It's like, hang on a minute, you're not going to be shooting it for another couple of years. She's just been cast. What's wrong with you? And sadly, that element has bubbled up to the surface again. Why do we need a female superhero movie? Why is Wonder Woman getting her own movie? Why is there a screening of women, for women, oh, not all women only, for women only, in the Alamo Draft House? Why is that happening? Oh, my rights as a man are being... Stop it. Stop it. These films are for everybody at the end of the day. For males, females, boys, girls, grown-ups, young kids. It doesn't matter. Just keep that side of it out. It doesn't matter, just enjoy the film, and it is a really good film to enjoy. Like I say, Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman. I'm not going to say she's marvellous as Wonder Woman. She is Wonder Woman. She inhabits that role perfectly, just like Linda Carter did in the 70s. You know, it's every generation has its version of a superhero. It's like Chris Reeve in the Superman movies in the 70s and 80s. He was Superman, especially Superman at that era. And, you know, Gal Gadot is the Wonder Woman that we needed for today. The Linda Carter version wouldn't work, but it worked in the 70s, and that's perfectly fine. But Gal Gadot, absolutely brilliant, perfectly cast. And indeed, all the Amazons on Themyscira, perfectly cast. The whole Themyscira section of the movie is brilliant, and I can't praise Patty Jenkins enough for the way that it's done. The absolute joy it is to see Paradise Island in all its glory. You've seen it in cartoons a lot, you've seen it in the comic books, you've never seen it really in live action. You did in the, you know, in the Wonder Woman 70s, but it wasn't what it should have been, as it were. It was just basically like a pleasure island where people sat around and ate grapes a lot, and, you know, it was ancient Rome. Whereas this shows the Amazons in their full martial glory. They don't want to fight, but if they do, they will beat your ass. They will kill you. They will have, they won't think twice about doing it. And that is shown brilliantly in the sequence where they fight the Germans straight away, when the Germans find Themyscira by accident and just happen on it. Which brings us to Steve Trevor, obviously, played by Chris Pine, who's marvellous. He's great. A lot of people have been saying he steals the movie, but I don't think he steals the movie. He adds to the movie. There's no, apart from Gal Gadot, there's no one who steals the movie, which is as it should be. It should always be the star that steals the movie, and that's very true here. Steve Trevor is a very integral part to the plot. He's very important to the plot, as he should be. He's the one who basically teaches Diana that humanity isn't perfect. It's not Zeus's perfect creation as she's always been taught it was. It's this flawed, amazing, brilliant, terrible species of creatures that is capable of amazing things, beautiful things, and is also capable of the darkest depths of depravity that you can know. The mass slaughter of World War One is as much part of humanity as Picasso's art or Beethoven's symphonies. It's that whole thing of the light and the dark. You can't have one without the other where humanity's concerned. Whereas Diana's always been taught that humanity are perfect and are corrupted by Aries, who is the main villain of the piece. I don't think there really is a main villain of the piece, and I don't think there should be. There's a lot of villains in this, because you've got Ludendorff, you've got Dr. Poison, who it's a great addition to the DCEU. Please have a team up with Dr. Savannah at some point. That would be absolutely marvellous. Although I don't think Shazam's going to be part of the DCEU, sadly enough. But she's great, is Dr. Poison in this film. She's a really good actress, and I love the whole ceramic pseudo face that she's got going on. Very Boardwalk Empire. I forget the character's name, but he had the ceramic piece on his face there as well. I do like that. I do like the fact you can hear the ceramic grating against each other at certain points as well. Ludendorff, another good villain, played by Danny Huston, absolutely brilliantly. Ludendorff existed. He was a real character, but he doesn't last very long in this universe. He gets killed in 1917. 1918, I think it's actually set. But again, the main villain, if you want to call it, the main villain as such, is Aries. I'm not going to spoil it to say who plays him. Probably you already know, but there you go. I did say spoilers, but I don't want to spoil that. That's quite a good reveal, actually, at the end of the day. I did see it coming. I'm just going to say I did see it coming. I quite early on as well thought, Tim, can't be Ludendorff. But it's Tim, definitely. There's about 2 or 3 people it could be, and I got it pretty much straight away. I'm quite proud of myself for that, because I never usually do that at all. But yeah, Steve Trevor, like I say, very integral to the plot, teaches Diana that humanity isn't this helpless species that gets corrupted by gods. That doesn't happen anymore. There's a great line that he says that she repeats later on in the film. It's not about deserve. Because she says they deserve me, and he's like, no, it's not about deserve. That isn't how it works. It's much deeper than that. It's much more complicated than that. And I really like the fact that it doesn't. There is no good and there is no evil in this film. There's no, even Aries isn't evil. He's just doing what he thinks is right, and it mirrors World War One pretty much spectacularly, because in World War One there is no clearly defined bad guy. There wasn't an evil empire. They all had empires. They're all pretty much as bad as each other. They just wanted to fight, and they needed an excuse to do that. They found an excuse to that, and lots of people died because generals thought that this was the way that war was fought, and the royal houses of Europe at that point fell out with each other, and millions died in nasty, brutal ways. I mean, it's been said on quite a few podcasts and quite a few reviews that the reason they probably chose World War One over World War Two, there's a couple of reasons. One of the main reasons could be that World War Two had kind of already been covered in Captain America the First Avenger, and they didn't want to sort of be seen to retread that ground because it didn't need retreading. Plus, also, Wonder Woman kind of suits the First World War more. The story that it's trying to tell, World War One suits it, because World War II was ideology. World War One was basically just, we've got a massive stockpile of weapons and we're falling out politically. We don't like each other. We don't trust each other. Let's have a war. Basically, let's just have a massive war. We've made all these alliances. Let's just have a war. And the rest of the world got sucked in. Whereas World War II, very much ideological. So, plus also you had things like mechanised infantry and things like that they didn't have in World War One. It was very much man to man. The mechanisation just served to slaughter more people, and I think that suits the story they're trying to tell. The supporting cast were really, really good as well in this. Ewan Bremner was brilliant as Charlie, who has PTSD, but they never say that he has PTSD because it wasn't a thing back in 1918. They did call it shell shock. People who had seen terrible things in the trenches and had been affected by the artillery fire, who didn't want to fight and couldn't physically fight. They were mentally ill, but were still taken out and shot as deserters or cowards. Cowardice was a legitimate reason to be shot in World War One. Astounding. I mean, it was 100 years ago, but astounding that would even be the case. Obviously now, definitely not, or at least I would hope not. But Charlie clearly has PTSD, and it's played really well with Ewan Bremner and the rest of the cast. He's a very good character. Then you've got Samir, played by, and I always get this wrong, Saeed Tagamawi. I think that's how we pronounce it, or Tagmawi. I'm sure I'm wrong, but he's brilliant anyway. He was great in the G.I. Joe movies. One of the best things about that original G.I. Joe movie. He's one of the best things in here. I really like Samir. It's a shame we won't see him again because all those characters are long gone, I'm afraid, in that universe. But yeah, I liked the fact that, he turned out as this con man straight off, and it turns out he's not really a con man at all. He wants to be an actor, but he can't be an actor because he's the wrong colour, which says everything you need to know about the times. Really well. The Chief didn't resonate so well with me. I don't think he's in it long enough, but I do like the fact that they had a character who didn't have a side because his side had been wiped out previously in another war. So just saying that this isn't the only war that humanity's had. This isn't the only time that Aries would have influenced them. And it's also great that, at the end of the day, Aries did only influence mankind. He didn't tell them what to do. He's not the controlling puppet master that is quite made out to be. And he clearly admits that in the course of the movie. I'm just there to push things along. It's a good film. It's a deep film. It's a film about Wonder Woman realising that things aren't always black and white. Things aren't always as clear-cut and simple as she has been taught that they are and that she thinks that they are. So yeah, the whole point of Diana being here is to be that guiding light for humanity rather than saving it from itself or saving it from Aries. And it's a long realisation. It's, she's very naive at the start of the film, and then at the end of the film she knows a lot more. And the whole framing, the whole framing sequence of it being her looking back because she's seen this picture of herself, Samir, Charlie, the Chief, and Steve again. The whole bringing back of Steve's ideals to her because she took herself away from humanity for so long. She's now back and she's ready to fight again for humanity. She's ready to be that guiding light, that shining light that humanity needs, that example that humanity needs, that Batman can't be, quite frankly. Batman can't be that example because he's the dark underbelly of everything. He's the Avenger, as it were, the dark Avenger of humanity. And Superman, obviously, at this point in the DCEU, is dead. He's no longer with us. He will be coming back, I'm guessing, at the end of Justice League. I don't think he'll be in the middle. He'll be a herald of Darkseid or something like that. But it'll be sure interesting, and it's looking good for the DCEU all of a sudden. Everybody was writing it off, but recent events have sort of put people in a different position, and they're like, they've done a really good film with Wonder Woman and things have changed on the Justice League movie. Will the addition of Joss Whedon change that film at all? Will that make that film different than what it would have been if Zack Snyder had solely directed it? It's hard to say. He's got to have some influence on it. Certainly Wonder Woman's role is more than likely going to be bigger than it was. But the fact that Wonder Woman's getting such love at the moment, it certainly warms my heart. I am loving the fact that people are liking it, especially girls, especially little girls. There's a lot of little girls dressed up as Wonder Woman going to the premieres of this, or going to the cinema, and you've seen it on Twitter and everything. It's marvellous to see little girls looking up to a superhero, because they can't always look up to Spider-Man or Batman, or, you know, they can't always cosplay as that. The visibility isn't always there for the female heroes. So this hopefully will change studios' mind and think, oh, hang on a minute, it's bankable. Because at the end of the day, that's all studios need. They have no political agenda. No matter what some people on the internet might think, studios do not have a political agenda. They have a money-making agenda. The only colour they care about is green, and the only gender they care about is paper. Paper, lots of paper. It's not a gender, I realise. But there you go. It's a good film. Please go see it. If you've got any interest in the genre at all, go see it. It's a brilliant film. It's a really well-crafted, well-made film. The fight at the end is your typical dark DCEU action scene at the end. That's fine. I have no issue with that. A lot of the other fight scenes are done in broad daylight, so it doesn't suffer from that. And it's not in the rain, which is good. Not that I have a problem with it, because I really, really don't, but there you go. Yeah, go see it and go support it. Get it to make money. Apparently it's already made more than the original Green Lantern film was made in its whole entire run, which is brilliant. And it's also broken one of the live action records for the female director, or the female directed movie. It's made more than the last previous one did, which I forget what it was now, but yeah, it's made a lot of money for Warner Brothers. And this also means that the DCEU will keep getting pushed, and, you know, they are moving in the right direction with it. It took a little while, and I knew it would. You know, they're trying to set up a whole universe, and they're on the back foot already, because Marvel have had a long time to prepare. But as a DC guy, and I am a DC guy, I want DC to do well. I want DC to really push forward with this, and they are, which is great. So we'll get more of this. We'll get more Wonder Woman, which is great. Apparently Wonder Woman 2 has already been greenlit, which is great, and Steve Trevor might be in it. I'm guessing it's his son. I'm guessing Chris Pine will be playing Steve Trevor's son or grandson in this, possibly great grandson. But yeah, exciting time to be a DC fan. Go see the movie. Go see it. I'll be back next time with something a little different, something a bit Doctor Who-y, I think. So do keep your eyes open for that. Otherwise, go see Wonder Woman. Take care of yourselves and each other. It's bye-bye for now.